The destruction is visible. Humanity is drowning. Soon, we'll reach a point of no return. WHO's Climate Change Panel has issued Judgment Day warning. The visuals on your screen may seem like the ones in movies. This is a video going viral on social media. It reminds us about the last ship boarded by people in the movie 2012. Although it is real, this is just the beginning of the end. With climate change now becoming alarming, the Intergovernmental Panel has sounded the warning bells. The message is stark and grim that human behavior has amplified the destruction of planet Earth. It is unequivocal that human influence has warmed the atmosphere, ocean and land. Severe heat waves that happened only once every 50 years are now happening roughly once a decade. Arctic ice loss is big and cannot be ignored. Extreme weather is becoming more common, and this trend will continue even if the world limits global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Arctic summers, the report highlights that sea ice on Arctic Ocean will melt completely at least once by 2050. The 2021 report claims that sea level will rise to 2 to 3 meters or even more if global warming was halted to 1.5 degrees Celsius. With additional carbon being pumped into the atmosphere every year, the world is running out of time to bring down those levels. 2.4 trillion tons of climate warming CO2 has been added since mid-1800s, and sticking to a carbon budget is very important right now. Temperatures are soaring, sea levels are rising, and CO2 emissions are reaching higher than normal levels. The parameters are a scary indication that planet Earth, our only home, is on the verge of extinction. No longer will the planet be habitable. It is already scarred by human actions, and we are running out of time. Global heating, as forecast by many climate change activists, give a hint about an imminent and dire risk to the world's climate system. After an intense 2 weeks of online discussion by experts around the world, the parameters are out for the world to buck up. After 8 years of data collection, finally, it's time for Judgment Day. Since the year 1960, the CO2 levels have gone up considerably at an alarming pace. The graph you see on your screen is the decade-on-decade rise in carbon dioxide levels on the Earth. In the year 1960, the CO2 levels were below 325 million units. But after 2000, the graph has taken the highway to hell.
First, you have to find out the source and the cause and tackle it. So what is it? If you understand that one, 95% of the carbon dioxide come from the fossil fuel. This fossil fuel usually from the coal and petrol and the diesel. So 1% coming from the burning of the agricultural waste and other waste. That to certain season, as a matter of fact. And 3% coming from the cement industries, pollution, as a matter of fact. Now, we have to reduce using the fossil fuel. There is no other alternative way, as a matter of fact. And you have to find out the alternative energy like solar, water, air, etc. if it is needed in the atomic cause, or one can think about it, as a matter of fact, as a clean energy.
2020s are crucial for our survival. It is pertinent to keep the CO2 levels below the safe limits of heating for us to control global heating levels. This decade, 2020s, is very important for the world to change its habits and ensure its survivability. The greenhouse gas emissions must be halved to limit heating to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Every 7 years, the IPCC, made up of hundreds of world's foremost climate scientists, publishes comprehensive assessments about every 7 years. The sixth report since 1988 is very crucial. The livability on Earth depends on the future changes adopted by world leaders. US is burning. Wildfires are raging across the planet, but more so in the US. Dixie Fire in California is just the beginning of what is to come, warn many climate change activists. The reason for heat waves in the northern latitudes, floods in China and Europe, and wildfires in the US will become a norm unless we stop climate change. The past 6 years, hottest on record. According to annual global temperatures, the last 6 years has seen a rise of more than 1 degree Celsius year on year. Earth has been in an oven for the last 6 years. Every year, the temperature has increased by more than 1 degree Celsius a year. The highest, however, was witnessed in 2016 and 2020, where the world saw an increase of over 1.20 degrees Celsius.
It is very crucial, believe me. Our carbon dioxide is increased. Now it is 4 to 450 part per million. This causing the temperature of nearly, as a matter of fact, 1 to 2.7 degree increase if the same way goes by end of this century. So this is very crucial. It's a catastrophic stage we have been there. It's a must we have to do it. If the same thing continues, if you don't reduce the carbon dioxide to nearly about 250 to 75, at least 350 as a matter of fact, if it increases the 350 to 500 to 600, we are going to have irreversible damage. One cannot think about it as a matter of fact.
The problem doesn't end with the disasters we mentioned before. The world is also witnessing a meltdown of ice caps and warming of oceans. In fact, the year 2020 has warmed oceans more than ever since the 1940s. If you look at the graph, the temperature of oceans between 1990s and 2020 has risen above the normal threshold, and it has increased steadily without respite. The year 2020 saw a rise of over 200 zettajoules in ocean temperature. The writing is clear on the wall. The message loud and bold. World leaders have to buck up. Action to avoid climate change is a must. It's time to end our reliance on dirty gas, coal and oil. Going green and building a zero carbon future is the need of the hour right now. The world leaders, mainly Xi Jinping, the Chinese president, could take matters seriously. We know China is a global factory, but that shouldn't give the license to burn the planet down. So it's time we mend our ways, restrict our greed. Nothing is more important than the planet, our home. If we burn the house down, we are going down with it. So save your home and save ailing Mother Nature.